Introducing Royal Caribbean's newest ship, Icon of the Seas, the ultimate family vacation. The ultimate 6 slides, 8 neighborhoods, 0 compromise vacation. The ultimate never done that, can't wait to do it vacation. The ultimate chillin' by a different pool every day of the week vacation. This is the Icon of vacations. Icon of the Seas, arriving in 2024. Book today. Come seek the Royal Caribbean. Ships Registry, Bahamas.
Welcome to Missing the Point with my guy, the real BK Bob Kelly. What's going on, man? We haven't done this in a while. You know, we had some difficulties last time we were on, but you know, we finally got a chance to get back together. So how's everything going?
It's good, man. I was going to say, it feels like we did a show recently, but
right.
the public just never got to see it, man. That's
exactly.
Lost in the abyss of the Missing the Point, you know?
Yeah, definitely in the head of archives for sure. But, you know, tonight will not be the same. The revolution will be televised and, you know, our voices will be heard. So we're happy about that. So let's just get right into it, man. So obviously, you know, we're in the off-season portion of the NFL season, obviously, but now there's still news that's going on. So we've talked about it on this show already, but, you know, Brian Flores obviously got fired by Miami several weeks back on Black Monday. And, you know, so obviously right after he ends up, you know, giving a lot or filing a lawsuit against the NFL, you know, basically, you know, going at their hiring practices. Fast forward a few weeks later, he gets hired by Mike Tomlin, you know, up there in Pittsburgh to be the special defensive assistant and linebackers coach. So just, you know, what were your thoughts on the hire, Bubba?
I mean, obviously it's a great hire. I mean, Brian Flores is a great defensive mind. The dude never should have been fired as head coach of the Dolphins. I do think it has a little bit of a, you know, I got your back type move where Tomlin is he the only, no, there's only 2 black head coaches in the NFL right now. It's him and Salah, right? Those are the only 2.
Oh yeah, because David Culley got fired, right? Exactly.
Right. Yeah. So it's just those 2, and I feel like it really was like you know what? You're right. You're fighting the good fight, and as a fellow African American, I felt like he felt like you're the best man for this job. Plus, it kind of gives a little bit of an extra middle finger to the NFL, being like, hey, what's up? I'm hiring this guy still. I don't care about any of this other bullshit. He's the right NFL guy, and it's great PR for the Steelers along with it. So, I mean, I think it's a great move for the Steelers. We could talk about Mike's take in a little bit, but I think it's a great move, and I just don't see any drawbacks if you're the Steelers for this, right? Because you already have, you know, the African American head coach who is a great head coach. And then you take another African-American head coach who is also an amazing coach. So it's like, it's just a double win, if you ask me, for the Steelers.
Oh, yeah. I mean, I think, like you said, it definitely was I got your back, brother type of move. And, you know, listen, as we know, he should have had a job. Like there is no debating that. If you're still debating at this moment, you know, I don't know. I don't know what to tell you. You know, you spoke with something that neither one of us ever smoked in our lives. But yeah, it was awesome to see that. I mean, we can get into Mike's take. You know, Mike had a really hot take, so we can touch on that now. You might know more than just of it than I do. I read it. I responded to him, but I just know that I think he talked about how Flores will eventually take over for Tomlin. So, but that's what he believes. And that Watson wants to play for Flores. So, you know, do you think that actually comes to fruition in the next couple of years?
So what I said to Mike is, I feel like we've been hearing about Tomlin leaving for like 10 years now. So I'm at the point where I'll see it when I believe it, man. I feel like Tomlin's in Pittsburgh until he decides he's not in Pittsburgh anymore. Can you imagine the shitstorm the NFL would get if Tomlin ever actually did get fired? And B, I just, you know what I mean? I feel like this has been the rumblings for a long time now. Like, Tomlin's going to leave Pittsburgh. Tomlin's going to do this. Listen, I don't think the guy's going anywhere. But having said that, I think, I definitely see where Mike's coming with that take, because it is a known fact that Deshaun Watson wants to play for Brian Flores. That is something that has been publicized before. So, I mean, I don't hate the take. I think that there's a lot that needs to happen for that to actually come to fruition.
Right.
But I mean, hey, they call it a hot take for a reason, right?
Yeah, no, I mean, listen, I think there's not a Pittsburgh Steelers fan alive that would not want that to happen. I think eventually, especially if that means you get Deshaun Watson in that deal. I know. I think from a PR standpoint, it might be a nightmare to an extent because of what's already happened with him. But if you ask me, you just go from one allegation to another. But hey, that's it. That was
That's the NFL style, bro. That's what they do.
So Leah, don't be mad at me. But congratulations on the wedding. But yeah, no, it's just that's just what it would be like. It would be for one allegation that was sexual to another one. So even though it was multiple, but listen, it probably doesn't happen. Listen, they've only had 3 head coaches in their franchise history. Chuck Noll, and then Bill Cowher, and now Mike Tomlin. So they are the model of consistency, which is what I love about that. I love about that franchise, even though I'm a Patriots fan. But it's like, listen, to have that for that long, like I'm thankful to have an owner in Robert Kraft that chose. I mean, granted, winning matters, but to say, what, yeah, there was a rough patch early on, but you didn't give him the hook, early on when you could have, right? You chose to stick it out and then say, you chose to coach over and over again. So yeah, I mean, I think I would like to see that transition. It'd be cool to see that them go from Flores to Tomlin. I mean, from Tomlin to Flores. But either way, to me, they should find a way to get Deshaun Watson there. Honestly, I just think that he would be, it ain't Dwayne Haskins. It damn sure ain't, Mason Rudolph. And I don't think there's anyone in the draft that can come in right now and be like, it's not Spencer Rattler. It's not. I'm trying to think of some other guys that may be coming out, but there's no one that's coming out that would be better than Deshaun Watson right now, in my opinion. So, but other than that we had talked about off the air, how do you think this hiring affects his lawsuit? Because obviously, we know that he put the lawsuit out there. So, does the narrative change about him? Does he look like a sellout because he took a job so early?
No, I mean, if anything, I think it supports his lawsuit. I mean, this guy went from winning, 7 of his last 8 games with the Dolphins, a team that had no business being anywhere near 500. The only reason they was Brian Flores, to being hired as a linebackers coach, not even a D coordinator, as a linebacker. Yeah,
that's what he is. That's what he is.
I know. Well, Terrell Austin's he just got promoted. It's a whole. I think it is going to be like kind of like a co-coordinator type deal. But even still, you look at Brian Flores, a dude who should have been the number 1 contender for almost every head coaching vacancy that was out there. And there really shouldn't have been a discussion about it. He got hired as a linebackers coach. You know what I mean? Like, you look at this guy's track record, it doesn't shout linebackers coach. It doesn't shout defensive assistant. It shouts, I'm a head coach in the NFL. Yeah, and the fact that he's not, and that he had to get relegated to a linebackers coach, almost as a favor, you know what I mean? That's kind of what this seemed like. It seemed like you said, hey, bro, I got your back. I know what you do with football teams. I know who you are. I know the kind of skills you have, and I know you're getting the short ends of the stick here. So why don't you come on staff? Why don't we show everyone how awesome you are as a D coordinator, as a football mind, and give the NFL the middle finger? You know what I mean? It's just, I think it helps his case a lot, because there's no reason that Brian Flores should be a linebackers coach in the NFL. That man is a head coach. Period. Is what he is.
Yeah, no, couldn't agree more. I just know how petty the NFL and other, teams can be. So I just feel like, maybe Pittsburgh gets officiated differently next year. Like, also remember the Titans type shit. Like, I just feel like I could see that happening. And they say, oh no, like, it's just, it's happenstance. Like, no, like, it's not a coincidence. Like, there's certain calls are being made.
You think Mason Rudolph's going to throw a football at someone's nuts? Oh no, that's longest yard. But I'm like, but put it like this: if he does do that, it better not be Myles Garrett. I'll tell you that. It better not be him. It would be a problem. But no, I mean, I think the reason why he got that title, like I said, listen, he is going to be the coordinator. Let's be real. It's not a cool thing. Keith Butler, who was there forever in Pittsburgh, he was there forever, just like Dave LeBeau was there forever. I think Keith Butler retired after this season, so that's why. So it would have looked bad to be like, oh, like another guy that's been here, we're not going to promote him, as I put that in air quotes,
we're just gonna give it to Flores. Like, that's what it really is. Like, they know what the deal is behind the scenes. Like, he's gonna be the same caller. I'm TJ Watt and those guys should be super excited to be playing under him for sure. Mike Micah Fitzpatrick, like, they should all be, just ready to run through a wall, for him on defense. So they were already phenomenal and super stout on defense. So I expect them to go to another level, under his coaching. And who knows, like I said, like we talked about, maybe it does become, a pipeline eventually. So any last words on that before we touch on some college basketball news?
Nah, man. I mean, just that, like you said, like we both said, this dude's a head coach in the NFL.
Yeah.
And that's a proven point. And the fact that he's not, is still just blasphemous to me. But yeah, we'll talk.
Yeah, no, agreed. So listen, we don't touch on too much college basketball. If we do, we're usually two of the, three people. I know DK was on the college show last year. We talked about March Madness. This is not talking about March Madness. It is madness, but it's not. We're not in March yet.
We're almost there. Almost there.
Almost that season.
It's almost time for me to go into my cave for 3 weeks.
Yeah, exactly. Watch a little Clark Kellogg and all those guys. Yeah, it's gonna be awesome. But man, Juwan Howard, Fab Five, Chi-Town's finest. I'm laughing, but the situation was not funny, man. But the question I want to ask, like, I'm sure you saw the finish, but did you, what do you think happened? Because obviously they're gonna say what they say in the media, but what do you think was said for him to even get to that point? Because that was wild to see what he did against that assistant coach. So just what was your initial reaction to that? To that punch on the sideline?
I mean, okay, so I don't want to ever say it wasn't warranted. You know what I mean? Like, no head coach ever in any sport should be throwing punches, man. If anything, you're the one who should be holding back the punches. You're the one who should be setting the example that, no matter the situation, no matter what's happening, you cannot lose your cool. All right. That is the message that all head coaches everywhere need to be pushing. At the same time, I don't disagree with them, man. I don't disagree. I honestly, I agree that the timeout that was called was absolute horseshit. That game was over, and it never should have been called in the first place. All right. So if that doesn't happen, right, that fight never happens.
Yes,
and I get it. You play to the end of the whistle. You play no matter what. But at the same time, is like, okay, it gets to a point where it's like, all right, what are the altercations that could happen here? What are the repercussions that could happen? And I mean, I honestly don't. What's your take on it? Because I'm in the middle of it. Like, yes, Juwan Howard should not have thrown that goddamn punch, but should have even been in that situation to begin with.
Wait, yeah, I didn't get the premise. I mean, and the coach for Wisconsin talked about, we had backups in, and they haven't had that much time against the press. But I'm like, bro, you're up 12 with like 20 seconds. Like, it's not that serious, bro. Like, it's just not like, even if they did turn the ball over a couple of times, like, you're still up 5%. Like, it's cool. Like, this is not going to be a T-Mac, against the Spurs type of ordeal. That's not happening. No one on Michigan is going to score 13 points in 32 seconds. Like, that's not how this was going to go down. So I think he was trying to just stick it to Michigan, because, Big Ten rival, they're ranked, they're not. And, college basketball more than any other sport when it comes to upsets, because they storm the court, it gets rowdy and it gets intense. And that's what I think happened. Now, before I give more analysis on it, I just thought it was funny, and I forget who shared this tweet, but I'm still laughing about it today. But to say they had a picture of Juwan and said, well, I guess Michigan's still having trouble with timeouts.
A little shot at Mr. Webb.
I said, damn it! Like, I'm like, that should not be that funny. But I'm like 4 or 5 days later, I still find that to be. That was it was perfect. It was perfect timing. The person who tweeted is definitely a dick for that, but it was so funny. I was like, yeah. I'm like, it's true, but Like you said, man, you got to keep your cool, man. You got to. You can't. I get sticking up for your players. If that was the case, I'm with you. Like you stick up for your players, but you can't be out there looking like Jeff Van Gundy. I don't know you remember that tape from the late '90s when he's hugging on Alonso Mourning because they're going back and forth. Like this wasn't, and I think Juwan might have been down there. So I don't know. Maybe he's just used to being the scrums. He's used to being that guy. But like I said, you can't as a leader of men, and especially a leader of young men at that. You can't do that. On a deeper level, they just started to acknowledge the Fab Five again. Just started to. So all that stuff that went down with Ed Simon, stuff that went down with Chris Webber, Jalen Rose, Jimmy King, Ray Jackson, like they had just really started to get around to acknowledging it. And the first step was making Juwan the head coach. So it's just like, there's so much more than just what happened in the moment. It's a ripple effect because now people that were already looking to dog their Fab Five and continue to discredit them, almost 30 years later, this gave them more ammunition. And that to me is also another thing that kind of gets lost in translation. It's unfortunate, but it is what it is. But, I'll ask you about the suspension and then we can move on unless you have anything else you want to add. But, did you think the 5-game rip was sufficient?
Yeah, it was. If this was a first time offense, if he had never done anything like this before, I would say maybe you let him go with the slap on the wrist because, I don't want to say it, but boys will be boys. Like people talking shit, things happen. But this isn't the first time Juwan Howard's done something like this. Last year, end of the Big Ten championship game, he had to be restrained from going after who's coach of Maryland, Mark Turgeon or Mark Turgeon. I can't pronounce his name. So this isn't without precedent that something like this has happened. So I think you had to suspend him. You don't fire him for this because like I said, men will be men, boys will be boys. Competition happens. All right. The way it started to me is why he didn't get fired. Because all he was doing, he was going through the handshakes, and he just mentioned to the coach, I'll remember that. That could have stopped it right there. You know what I mean? Like the coach could have been like, yeah, okay, kept walking. That's not what happened. That's when I think his name is Guard put his hands on Howard, and then Howard. I have to say though, Howard came through with the wussiest punch. If that's not a basketball punch, man, I don't know what is.
It's also he's been retired.
It was more of like a push, it was more of like a push.
In his heyday,
you think he was coming in with a haymaker?
Yeah, for sure. What's he's from Chicago. He is not. You know what I'm saying? That Chicago came out of him on Sunday. That's what happened. Without any like that. That's exactly what happened. It was like, you testing me? Cool. Let's. You want to find out how real I am? Cool, I got you. Wait no further. I got you. And that's what happened. And I also think because, obviously he's tall enough, but, when you're not, it was almost like you're registered like, wait, he just said what he said? Boom. You know what I'm saying? Like, it wasn't even, and it went right back to, what happens in the inner city. It's like, you start hitting before you ask other questions. In this case, a question was asked, it was an answer, and it's so it's like, wait a minute, man. Like, what are we doing? But to your point about maybe if it wasn't without precedent, then you would give him, you would have gave a slap on the wrist. Honestly, I think the 5-year suspension was a slap on the wrist. Honestly, yeah. And the reason why I say that, when I saw the video, and once again, I know this is Black History Month. Like, oh my God, I said. You caught it on video in 2022. It's over. He's done. He's fired. Like that's the first. I was like, it's over because I'm just like that. And that was like Mark Few or Roy Williams or Coach K or whatever. Then it'd be like, it's an unfortunate event, but it just. I was thinking of everything. The usual narrative. I thought for sure because when I saw people like Jay Billis and.
Do you think the T word was gonna get dropped? The thug. You thought Thug was going down?
Yeah. All of that. I said, oh man, I was like, yeah, I thought for sure we were going breaking news: Juwan Howard has been, relieved of his duties at University of Michigan. Member of the Fab Five. I was ready for that headline. I was more fired up about it the other day when we initially was going to talk about it, but I was just like, oh my God, like this is crazy. But yeah, so like I said, the 5-game rip to me was a slap on the wrist because like I said, I expected them to say, hey, you know what, thanks but no thanks. Hopefully this doesn't mess up all with the Fab Five because once again, C-Webb, Jalen Rose, Jimmy King, Ray Jackson deserve to be honored, not just by college basketball, but definitely University of Michigan. They put Steve Fisher on. They put that school on. People wasn't wearing Hirachis before Fab Five. They wasn't long shorts of college basketball before the Fab Five. Like, people wasn't shaving their heads before the Fab Five. Like, from a cultural standpoint, they mean so much to the game of basketball. You got to give them their just due. You just do. Regardless of how you felt about that situation, I just think that, hopefully that doesn't get lost and shuffle because, like I said, you can't erase what they did out of history. It's just that simple. So, anything else on that before we get into All-Star Weekend, man?
Nah, man. The only thing I have to say is I'm just happy they didn't fire him because it could have divided the college basketball and the college basketball landscape so fast and become such a bigger story than it really needed to be. So I'm happy they didn't go with what your gut initially was because I think that would have just created so much unnecessary, what's the word I'm looking for?
Drama.
Drama for college basketball that's just not necessary. You know what I mean? The 5-game suspension, slap on the wrist. Let's just get to March Madness and see what happens. We don't need the NFL press really anywhere else in sports. You know what I mean? Like that's just not the direction we want it to go. So right. I'm happy that they made the decision they did and gave them that 5-game suspension. That's all.
Right. Yeah, exactly. That's, and we'll leave it at that. So, well, from one thing that was madness to another thing that was madness, but for the wrong reasons. That also was for the wrong reasons, but All-Star Weekend, man. Before I give my thoughts, what was your All-Star Weekend overall?
So I liked the 3-point contest.
Okay.
I like seeing Kat win. Honestly, I like the 3-point contest every year. Always have, always will. Everything else was hot garbage that weekend, man. Mm-hmm. I don't even want to call it a slam dunk contest because that was the most outrageous, horrendous slam dunk contest I've ever seen in my entire life. I don't think I knew one person that was in it. And I consider myself like a pretty hardcore NBA fan. You know what I mean? And it just seems like every year the names get worse and worse. Then the All-Star game, which, yeah, it ended nice. That was cool. Steph Curry going off was amazing. But it felt like he was the only one that was really trying in that game for some reason. Luka Doncic, I don't know what happened to him in that game, man. He was just jogging for 4 quarters. I don't know. They found something cool with this whole, 2 captains, pick your teams, that whole thing. Like that's an awesome thing to do. Mm-hmm. And the way that they had it set up the past couple of years really worked. But for some reason this year, I don't know what it was, man, but it lost me. The only thing that kept my attention all weekend was the 3-point challenge. I don't know about you. How do you feel?
I worked my other gig for most of the weekend, so I missed a lot of it. But I'll start with the slam dunk contest. You got to get actual stars back into this event.
Bro, you have to. It doesn't even need to be stars.
No, it does because
okay.
The reason I'm saying it is so you can give a rebuttal if you have one. Because we grew up on, granted, we went the Dominique MJ era, but most people in our era consider the 2000 dunk contest to be the best of all time. Who was in that?
The Richardson.
No, that's before, right before. So Vince Carter, Steve Francis, T Mac, and I forget who the fourth person was in there. But so you had those young, you had stars. There was those stars in there, doing stuff like that. Then the guy you just brought up, Jay Rich, right? Jason Richardson. Back-to-back years. That between the legs, East Bay dunk, listen. I get it. Those that are listening that are a little bit older than us, I'm going to bring them, what about J.R. Ryder? I listen, Isaiah Ryder. I listen, I get it. He was the original. I hear you. Jason Richardson took that dunk and he went, like he turned it up just just enough where he threw it off the glass and then if it's to the lady. Listen, I'm sorry. It's better. I'm sorry, but I'm like, you could go back. It's on YouTube. You could watch it. That 0-2 dunk contest. Think about guys like Desmond Mason, right? Desmond Mason could jump out the building. Even the year that Fred Jones won in 0-4, like Fred Jones was doing stuff. Young J.R. Smith.
Beat Gerald Green that year?
Yeah, J.R. Green. You know what I'm saying?
Right?
So it's just like, you gotta get guys that aren't, that just aren't in-game dunkers. That's why I love Anthony Edwards. Like Anthony Edwards, they asked him, when do you think you'll get in the contest? He was like, look, man, I'm an in-game guy. I like dunking on people. I say, yeah, you know what? I feel you. I feel you. We're not going to do all this push in the air. I get that. I do think people are not giving Obi Toppin his judge due. That dunk when he went up and then went his back jump over the guy, that was crazy. Also doing the 360, having the ball touch the glass, then dunk it. That's hard to do, and I get it. There's too many attempts that's being done. I get that. You should get a 0 after 3 attempts, in my opinion, or after 2 attempts, I should say, like they used to do, or just give you a 30, like they used to do in the past. But we need our stars. So John Morant, we need you out there. Fuck all that. Oh, I need $1 million. Come on, bro. Like, you already getting mad bread. Just come out there. You're someone that people want to see. I mean, I don't know Anthony Edwards is someone doing, but he's someone that should be out there. Honestly, I like Obi Toppin. I think Obi Toppin is a hell of a dunker. I
like Obi.
Yeah, so it's just like, Anthony Simons, even though he didn't do well for second in a row, like he definitely has some bounce. Cole Anthony, to me, he's not really a dunker. It was cool to see the things with the Timbs, but I'm just like, bro, like, that's not. Even though I'm a UNC guy, but I'm like, bro, like he's gonna catch someone in the game off adrenaline. He's not someone that's gonna be out there doing windmills. Like, he's gonna be on a fast break, catch you for an and one like Derrick Rose. Like that's Cole Anthony's type of game. So I didn't get why he was in there. But once again, if you can't get guys in there, it's a problem. So I just, to me, it's wild. It's really wild that they don't want to get these people in there. But, you brought up Steph Curry. Listen, man, just when you thought it was safe, I don't care if it's an all-star game. 16 fucking threes, bro. 16, bro. I'm like, I said, this guy is on another level. And I mean, damn, to think that Trae Young might have been next and he's had threes, and looking at Trae Young like, you got a long way to go, buddy.
Yeah.
You got a long way to go.
My favorite part about Steph, so actually, before I go to Steph, so I just want to go back to the dunk contest for a second. And yes, Obi Toppin was impressive. He was the only one to me that really stood out. That was like, okay, this guy can put on a show. When you look back at the top dunk contests, right? This is why I'm just so disappointed at where this event has ended up. This used to be the mecca of All-Star Weekend. You know what I mean? This was bigger than the game, the slam dunk contest, right? You look at, I'm just going to read it right off the list. We have Crypto Nate versus Superman in 2009. Nate Robinson beating out Dwight Howard in the dunk contest. One of the best dunk contests you'll ever see. You have a 5'9" guy beating out someone who is the defending dunk champion. Amazing, right? Then you go to Jordan versus Dominique in 88.
Mm-hmm.
That's all you need to say. You know what that is. All right. Then you have Dwight Howard. Like I just said, the 2008 Dwight Howard, where I'm pretty sure he dunked from the free throw line, right?
Yeah, that's Superman. Crazy.
Unbelievable. Right. Unbelievable. Right. Then you have the number 2. This is the one that stands out to me, man. I will never forget this night as long as I live. The 2016 dunk contest between Aaron Gordon and Zach LaVine. Mm-hmm. To me, I know that the one ahead of this, it was amazing just because of who it was, what he did, and how amazing it was. But those two guys put on probably the best 45 minutes to an hour of entertainment that the dunk contest has seen since those Dominique Jordan days, man. From the guy, the mascot spinning on the roller skates, and bro, unbelievable. Crazy. That whole dunk contest was wild. Then number one that'll never be touched, Vinsanity. We already brought it up. Just going absolutely berserk, doing things in an era that were just unheard of. Like the legs, the ball through the legs dunk that just seems routine now was
That was his opening
unthinkable.
dunk. His opening dunk.
Right, the opening dunk, and it was unthinkable at the time that someone would get that much air and have that much time to do what he was doing in the air. It was just,
Right.
it was unheard of, right? Fast forward to now, where your biggest name, your biggest name in the dunk contest, the one that has the most athletic skills, is someone that probably 3 to 4 out of 10 NBA fans would know. And really only like the diehard ones. Like if you walk down the street and you went up to someone, you're like, yo, who's Obi Toppin? 80% of people are going to be like, I have no idea. So it's just exactly like you said. You got to get the names in there, man, because you look through this list and it's like, what do you realize? Name after name after name of people that you recognize and know and are all-stars and are that caliber of player.
But the only one they're missing before we move on to the Celtics, the only one they're missing on it, you might have said it, I might have missed it. You said 09, but the first dunk contest that Nate won in 06 in Houston at the Toyota Center when him and Iguodala was going back and forth.
Yeah.
Honestly, Iguodala should have won that. I know there's some people that will listen to this and will probably leave a comment on the TikTok and say, Rayshawn, you're out of your mind. That's cool. You can say so. I thank you for listening. Andre Iguodala won. When he threw that, he threw it off the glass and came from underneath the rim and dunked it and cleared it without touching his head. I said, bro, I was like, this guy got it. But Nate won because he jumped over Spud Webb, and once again, the entertainment factor. That's Nate. Nate understood that. Gerald Green with the birthday cake dunk, right? Remember that?
That was so good, man. That was so good.
Puts the birthday cup.
He blew out the candle.
Blew out the candle. That was crazy. Even the dunk he had when he jumped off vert in his socks.
Yeah.
So there's so many different moments you remember. It was like, wow. Even the one that Kobe won in Cleveland, right? Kobe, young Ray Allen, and people talk about Ray Allen. Ray Allen could actually get up there in his early days. This wasn't someone that was always shooting threes and.
He wasn't always shooting those beautiful floaters. Yeah.
Yeah, it wasn't any of that. Like Ray Allen in his early days had some bunnies attached to him. Kobe did too, obviously. Eddie Jones. So yeah, like we can go on and on in that. But so we kind of already talked about it, but I think you kind of touched on it, but if you want to elaborate it as we close the segment out, what's one thing you would add to maybe next year's All-Star game to make, or even going forward to to bring back the fans?
More mic'd up, man. That was my favorite part of the whole weekend. You should mic up every single player that is on that court. Do it a lot like the baseball All-Star game does, where they almost have interviews in the middle of the game and shit like that. Really get inside those players' head, because my favorite part of the weekend was watching Steph Curry mic'd up and knowing how well he was playing, hitting a three and turning to the fans behind him and going, yo, what's the record? What's the record for NBA All-Star points? Like that shit.
Did it go in? Did it go in?
Did it right, bro? I love that shit. Give me more of that. Like the more interaction, the more dialogue you hear between the players, it makes, because the All-Star game is an exhibition. That's what it is. It's a glorified street game of basketball. You know what I mean? And to hear the interaction between the players and hear, those like them talking shit to each other and hearing all these things would make the game so much better to me. That's the number one thing I would put in the game. More mic'd up. Give me that all day.
Yeah, I'll listen. I'll share that same sentiment. I think that's awesome. Like I said, it gives more insight to what the players are thinking in that moment. Because it's always different in the huddle than it is when they get onto the court. What's different on the court is into the huddle, or even in the locker room, right? Also, too, the last thing I thought about too, this was something I would add, but I love that video that went viral with Michael Jordan and Magic Johnson. MJ telling him, hey, me and you one-on-one right now. And Magic Johnson laughing it off like he wasn't serious. And MJ was dead serious.
Dead serious.
He's dead serious. Like, man just turned 59 years old last week. It was like, yo, He said, "I'll still give you buckets right now." So, like that was one of the highlights. It was cool that they honored, the NBA 75 in Cleveland as well. Because I know that's when the NBA 50 was there too. So that was awesome to see. It was cool to see, the Celtics and some of the guys that played that weekend will be when they come in 2047 for the NBA 100.
So I have two quick things about that NBA 75. So first, non-Celtics related. What's up with Karl Malone? What was that whole thing? I don't.
So
am I missing? So am I? What news story did I miss?
So it's not new. It's not new. Apparently, or not even apparently. Well, apparently, allegedly, whatever word you want to use. When he was at Louisiana Tech in the 80s, before he came out, I think he was either 19 or 20 years old. Apparently, or allegedly, he had got a 13-year-old or pregnant in Louisiana.
Oh,
yeah, right, yeah. So it was like, oh shit. So that's why they were saying when they talk about Karl Malone, it should have been saying that, it should have been from behind bars. So yeah, so
I didn't know that. Okay,
I'd heard about that a while ago. I said I didn't know if there was any really validity to it. Then again, it was never really ever denied either. So that's also equally as scary. But that's a whole nother conversation for another day. But yeah, so that's what that meme was about. I can't even say running joke because there's nothing funny about it. But that's exactly what had happened, unfortunately.
Well, the meme joke, not that it's a joke.
But I agree though. It should have been from behind bars. It should have been.
And then the Cleveland Stadium is within 200 feet of an elementary school, and that's why Karl Malone wasn't allowed to attend the ceremony.
Right? Yeah, exactly. Right. Or the one, the other one that got me too. They was like they shouldn't have booed Steph Curry when they introduced him, because it was like he's owned y'all before Cleveland, and actually he's from Ohio. He's from Ohio.
Yep.
So he's from Akron as well too. So that's hilarious.
And then before we move on, the other one from the NBA 75, bro. I thought KG, Pierce, and Allen made up. Did you see that?
To an extent. I was surprised they got the picture though.
KG legit was like,
Yeah,
cheering for you, bro.
I don't know what is it gonna take, because it's just like Pierce said that he's like, look, me and Ray are good. We good. He's like, no, it's over, bro. It's over. It's like, it's over. Y'all been retired. Y'all all three y'all on the Hall of Fame, bro. Let it go. It's over. Yeah. It's over, bro. Like it's okay. Like it's okay, KG. It's all right. And I get it. There's a part of me that loves it to an extent, but it's like, no, like you didn't get one without Ray. Yeah, Ray got one without you. Okay, that sucks. All right. Y'all, all three of y'all should have been 2-time champions. Well, Ray would have been 3, could it be left? But it's just like, I get it.
Anniversary. Speaking of which, quick tangent. Sorry. Anniversary today. Before we move on to Celtics, we're over some Celtics history. 2000. Well, when did we win? 09 we won?
Oh, wait.
08? So 2010, today is the anniversary of the trade that sunk our 2010 championship hopes. Or was it 2011 championship hopes?
Yeah, probably
2011 championship hopes, where we traded Kendrick Perkins and for Jeff Green. And it came up on my timeline today, and I saw it and thought of you instantly. I was like, all right, I need to bring this up tonight.
Obviously hindsight is 2020. So I get what Danny Ainge was thinking. Like, obviously in that moment, we don't feel that way, because it was like, wait a minute, like that starting five never lost a series, never to this day. So it's like it's in his like that starting five of Rondo, Ray, Pierce, KG, and Perk never lost a series. Like that's a fact, not an opinion. Danny Ainge saw how the NBA was going, and he's like, you need another athletic wing if you're gonna compete with the Miamis of the world. And he wasn't wrong. And the guy just wasn't Jeff Green though.
Yeah.
Even though they had drafted him a few years before, right? They drafted him number 5 and they traded him for Ray Allen. I just think that he just wasn't the right fit. He had some great games in Boston. I think his best game was against Miami. It actually
hit that game winner in the corner.
No. Well, that was the next year, but the year before, when he had 43 against Miami, LeBron hit the game winner on that, because that's what Miami won like 27 in a row that year. I think 2012, 2013 year when they won their second ring in a row. But Yeah, no, I remember the game winner in Miami. That was great. Hell of a pass from Gerald Wallace.
Oh, yeah.
That's a name drop you think you would hear
Gerald Wallace, right?
in 2022. So, but before we get into Celtics talk, let's hear a word from our sponsor, Skillest.
This episode of Missing the Point is being brought to you by Skillest. Getting golf lessons can be a pain, but it doesn't have to be anymore. Download Skillest, the app that connects you to the best professional golf coaches from around the world. No more driving to your local range to get an overpriced lesson from some random coach. Skillest lets you pick your coach, record your swing, and get detailed analysis, all from your cell phone. Want a lesson from Steph Curry's coach? Or how about Cameron Smith? You can get them all on Skillest. Plus, through this exclusive offer, get 20% off your first lesson with the promo code MTP at checkout. That's MTP at checkout for 20% off your first lesson. Download Skillest and cut strokes off your golf game before the spring.
Took the words out of my mouth, bro.
Right. All right. So yeah. So got to get into some Celtics talk, man. They have played extremely well as of late. As our guy DK said, they've become rewatchable again, or and they have been. They've come in tonight. Winners 9 out of 10. Like we're recording this on a Thursday night. So just in your mind, or in your put on your analyst cap. What is gone right for this team over this stretch?
Defense, period. Best defense in the NBA over this 11-game stretch, and that's not even a debate to be had. That is just pure fact. There's multiple analysts around the NBA right now that are calling the Celtics switch defense because that's what they are. Every single person on that court can cover any person that comes at them, and that's what Emmy's been going for. And multiple analysts around the NBA are calling their defense not just good, not just great, but dominant.
Right.
Dominant. And they're honestly, when you take, so the biggest thing to me that really changed everything around is when they stopped taking Rob, when they stopped locking Rob in underneath the hoop and started letting him actually roam on the outside a little bit and playing a lot more switch D with Rob, because when you have someone like Rob Williams just working around the entire court, knowing that any shot that goes up could get blocked, knowing that, you know what I mean? Like, you have this guy who is just a defensive mastermind roaming the court at all times. It is just unbeatable at this point. And the only way I've seen anyone beat it is with the most athletic stretch fours that you could possibly think of. And not many teams in the NBA have that right now. So I think this defense, man, is really what turned the corner for us. And that move, taking Rob out from underneath the basket and letting him roam the court, was so big, man. The defense that you've seen in the last 11 games is defense that can win a championship. Granted, we need to hit our goddamn shots to do so. But if we keep playing the defense like we do, I think we have a shot to get out of the East. And you know what I mean? Like, this is obviously very pro-Celtics and very positive thinking. But with that defense, man, we have a shot. Not saying it's going to happen, but we have a shot.
Well, no, I think the defense probably really all year has been the most consistent thing. And even, honestly, even though we were, we had all fell off early on because, we were pissed off at how things when that Bulls loss and that San Antonio loss, stick out amongst their bad losses of the year. But even in those games, they was big. So it was like, it showed you like, yo, like they can dominate whenever they feel like. It's just a matter of, are you going to stick to the habits that got you to the dance? Mm-hmm. And right now they're doing that. And like I said, we're recording on the Thursday. I don't know the final score, but they were smacking Brooklyn as we got on to record this. So, it right now it's 10 out of 11 wins, But yeah, so but besides the defense,
129 to 106.
Oh, beautiful. You love to see it. And, I just think, to me, teams are barely cracking 100, for the most part. And these are teams that full strength, not at full strength, like, that little stretch before the break when they got through Denver, Atlanta. Again, and B was there, so it wasn't like, no, these guys were out there and they were giving them the business. So, and like I said, they're handling business against teams they're supposed to now. That's the biggest thing, because they weren't doing that early in the year. They would let teams hang around, which is kind of what happened in that Detroit game too, right? But that's going to happen. I love the fact that they came back with this focus, because it'd been very easy to lose this game against Brooklyn tonight. Even though they added on Steph Curry and RJ Drummond. it'd been very easy for them to lay down and kind of keep them in it. But they've made sure that there was no doubt that they were going to win this game. But they should beat Detroit again on Saturday, in my opinion. Detroit plays them pretty hard, as you mentioned. When we speak off the show, but yeah,
It's absurd.
but yeah, no, it is. But besides the defense, I gotta say it's the ball movement has been the biggest biggest difference for me. They the ball that does not stick, and they're trusting the offense, they're trusting that the next man is gonna make the play and understanding that, oh, okay, if I get it back to so I may get it back and then I get a wide open three or I get a wide open layup. And and I'm sure, the next thing too, outside of the ball movement and defense, they're finally healthy. Finally healthy. Other teams have been healthy throughout the year, which is why their records have been what they've been. We've always had somebody out. So now that we, have our rotation set, we have our health in order for the most part. The most has been really in a few years. They're showing, hey, we're on par with anyone else, not just in the East, but in, the NBA. So, but to add on to that, what has your thoughts been? Because we haven't been on since this trade happened. What were your thoughts? Or what has been your thoughts or impressions so far on Derrick White?
Love him. Love everything about him, man. The way he plays basketball is exactly what Emmy was looking for. It's no coincidence that he came from San Antonio, where Emmy came from, that he has the same mindset that Emmy has. And plus, I don't even think adding Derrick White was really the biggest addition versus getting rid of Dennis Schroeder was a big addition. Listen, I get that he is a good 2-point guard. He's good as your second point guard. But at the same time, man, I had it with Dennis Schroeder either doing one of polar opposite things, okay? He was either, we would go on an 8-0 run, be pushing the ball, be doing awesome. Dennis Schroeder would just slow the game down to a point where everyone's just standing around on offense, and that's when the Celtics get into trouble. That's when they start watching the game. That's when they don't move the ball. That's when you see ISO Jason and ISO Brown, and all these bad habits start to come up. Or we'd be on a run, and you'd be like, all right, let's go. And then Dennis Schroeder pulls up from 34 feet with 18 seconds on the shot clock. And you're like, bro, what universe are you on? So to me, to take a shoot first point guard, or a point guard who likes to slow things down, who likes to have the ball in his hands, versus Derrick White, who is a known playmaker, known defensive mastermind. I keep using mastermind. Known defensive prowess and can hit open threes. It just seems like the trade from a point guard who is everything the Celtics have been doing wrong for the past 2 years, to a point guard or a guard who is everything the Celtics should be doing right, and everything that we should be playing like. To me, it is a huge difference. From the moment Derrick White showed up, man, that first game he was on the court, he had like 4 threes. You could see a different attitude in the game, because that type of thing is contagious. You know what I mean? It absolutely is, especially with this team. I don't know how many times we've seen the Celtics kind of feed off each other when it comes to bad habits. Do you know what I mean? Like, especially Jason and Jalen. Once one starts to ISO, the other one starts to ISO. They just start staring at each other and they start playing hero ball. And it really is a contagious thing. You bring in Derrick White, who doesn't have that mindset, who has the mindset of, let's move the ball. Let's be playmakers here, guys. And you can see it just take over the team. I think Derrick White's a huge move. He's not an all-star. He's not an all-pro. But I think he does way more than what the measurables show.
Right. So, and I think, so that kind of adds on to what we've kind of been clamoring the last couple of years about on this show, right? Because obviously, we've all, as individually or collectively, had takes on like, oh, like maybe split the tandem up, and basically, because we grew frustrated with the product, grew frustrated with how they were playing, and saying, well, maybe you move off one of them, and majority of the show was picking Jaylen Brown over Jason Tatum. So Mike and DK, I really hope that you've changed your mind about that, because Jason Tatum has been nothing short of phenomenal really over the last 6 or 7 weeks. Jalen has too, and I think they finally figured out like, oh, we're the 2 best players on the floor most nights. let's act like it. And I think, they've gotten angry with the talk about, oh, split us up, do this, do that. And I don't know if you saw the podcast with him and JJ Redick, where Tatum talked about, I don't know why so many people want this Tatum to break up. Like, we're both under 25 still, or we're 25 and under still. It was like, the grass is not always greener. And I felt that was a direct shot at us on the show. Because and I'm like, I'm glad he said it, because it's like, wait a minute, like this, it's easy to overreact in the moment. And granted, they gave us reason to be pissed off. So I want to be clear about that. It was fair and accurate to be upset with their play, with their effort. But now, like I said, they've seemed to buy into what's going on, and they're trusting the process. No pun intended. So I just love to see what I've seen from them. I hope that these two continue to grow. I just think Derrick White is an example of, if you put the right players around Tatum and Brown, you're going at least to the conference finals, at least. And I know the goal is to get to the finals and win it, but you're going at least to the conference finals if you get more players like that you can surround Jason and Jalen with. You need more playmakers around them. You need guys that can shoot it around them. They've become willing playmakers now. You can see that. There's no more. Yeah, there's no more like, well, I don't know if Jason's going to pass on Jalen or Jalen's going to pass. They have shown now over the last couple of months that, they're going to move the ball. And now with someone like Derrick White, and then you got Derrick White and Marcus Smart being those primary ball handlers, Al Horford sometimes as a secondary playmaker. Rob Williams is a phenomenal passer. So, you want to make sure they keep doing that, but you got to keep surrounding them with guys that, one, know their role, right? Because Derrick White knows his role. That's what makes it even better. Shooter, rightfully so, was looking to get paid still. And I don't blame him. I'm forever grateful for the 38 he had against Milwaukee. He was sensational that night. There's a few games that we wouldn't have won without him this year. So let's just call a spade a spade. So I'm thankful for the contributions. Was it erratic at times? Absolutely. Was it something where you scratch your head, try to pull out your hair? Absolutely. But there were still some games that we would not have won without his contributions off the bench or even as a starter. So for that, Dennis, we say thank you and wish you the best in your future endeavors in Houston and beyond. That being said, like I said, I'm excited for these last 22 games. What do you think is a realistic, win-loss record to close out this regular season?
I think if we, I don't want to do records because I'm not great with numbers, but I think if we can get to the third or fourth seed, we can get home field in that first round, I'll be happy with our regular season. I got to say, though, going back to what you were saying about surrounding Jason and Jalen with the right talent, man, I think that's something that we never really, or by we, I don't mean me and you, Celtics fans never really gave that the opportunity to actually happen. You look at everything that's happened. We went from Kyrie, we don't even need to open that can of worms. We know what happened there. Right. To your next point guard of pretty much the same kind of player, just not as great of a passer in Kemba Walker, right? Another shoot first point guard. Then you have Dennis Schroeder, another shoot first point guard. You're noticing a trend here? Finally, we have someone who actually, it doesn't matter if he has a ball, if he's playing off ball, if he's playing on ball, he is the same player regardless. And he will look for other people to get their shots before he gets his. And he will look for the right play rather than the most spectacular play, or look for his open shot, or look for these things that just haven't been there before. So I think having the right guys around Jalen and Jason is such a key piece and something we haven't seen yet. So I completely agree with you there. Also, going back to Jalen and Jason, if there's two people that have been on you guys are absolutely out of your mind if you think it's a good idea to break up Jalen and Jason. And if you do, I promise you, 5 to 10 years from now, we're going to be looking back at this era and being like, I can't believe we let one of them go. And that's been me and you from day one, being like, listen, guys, you don't know what you have, all right? You don't know how special these two are. And if we let one of them go, I promise you, we will realize how special they are. And it's not going to be an excitable realization. I can promise you that. All right, we've seen it with Sagan. We've seen it so many other times in Boston sports where someone leaves Boston who is a superstar, goes somewhere else, and we're just out here wishing that we were a bedpost in their bed while they're making love to someone. All right. That's happened multiple times.
Pretty much. No, but even to add on to that, because even though I did have that same thought as you, even then, and I did go a little further, even if you did break them up, I would say you got to keep Tatum. You got to keep Tatum. If you were going to break him up, Tatum's the guy you had to keep. To me, he was the Pierce, Brown was the Antoine Walker. And that's okay. Brown, if that was Antoine, Brown probably would have been the first one to win the championship, and he would have been on the team that, probably would have moved the ball around. And I remember when Antoine got his ring in Miami, I was fucking heated. I was like, oh my God. I said, wait, this is the player that Danny Ainge thought you couldn't win with him on the team. Like, this is what you did. So, I get it. Antoine was a role player by the time he got to Miami.
I forgot he was on that team.
Yeah. So, cause he went, so what happened? He traded Antoine to Dallas.
Yep.
And then, traded Dallas for fucking Yuri Welsh. Jesus, what a name drop there, right?
Yuri Welsh, bro.
Yeah.
It was the same. We traded for Yuri Welsh.
And Rafe LaFrance. Yeah, Jesus. Yeah, so Rafe LaFrance, right? So then, trade deadline a year later, when Doc Rivers' first year, I think Antoine's in Atlanta for one day, just like Rashid, comes back up to Boston that year. We win the division title, lose to Indiana, and in 7, Gary Payne goes to Miami. Also so does Antoine Walker. They win the championship that year, and I'm just like, wow, like that's crazy. That's who the guys we had are now world champions. That's wild. So thank God, that Kevin McHale chose to gift wrap Kevin Garnett to Boston. Although at the time, people didn't even want to let go of Al Jefferson. So, which is wild when you think about it in hindsight. Like, you didn't want to let go of Al Jefferson for Kevin Garnett. Like, this wasn't, this wasn't Chuck Hayes coming back in the deal. But I'm like, once again, another casual name drop. Welcome to the Rabbit Hole Show.
We're full of them.
Yeah, you know what I'm saying? So any final words before we get out of here?
Just that, listen, Celtics fans, we've done this before. All right, we've had these shows where we talk people off ledges, but guess what? This is not one of those shows. Finally, we have a show with some positivity. Looking forward with the Celtics. I love the makeup of this team. Wait, and one last thing. So it's kind of part of my final word. Celtics fans, aren't you happy that you gave Emi Udoka a little bit more time than 14 career games coaching? All right. I'm so sick of seeing, Emi needed to be fired. Emi needed this. Listen, the dude had never in his life coached an NBA basketball game. Never. Give the man a little bit of time. It takes some time, guys.
Can you blame us though?
I can't.
I had the pitchfork ready too. I'm sorry. I think I would, because I know what Jason and Jalen are. So I was just like, you cannot have this type of talent, and you guys are blowing these many fucking leads. Like it was just my mind. Like he used the word mind-boggling. Like it was mind-boggling how many games they were blowing in late game situations. So I was just like, like I've had enough. Like I'm done. And it's because it had been more of the same of what we saw the last couple of years. So it was just so much. But yes, I'm glad that they now are trusting his process, and that, he's starting to find his bearing as a coach. Shortening the rotation has done wonders. For them. So yeah, I just hope that, Derrick White continues to contribute, that Al Horford continues to contribute, that Rob Williams continues to grow into one of the best big men in the league. I think we're about a season or two away from seeing him as an all-star, in my opinion. It's hard because, when you're behind Jared Allen, the Bam Adebayos, Siakam, Siakam's on the center, but I mean, I just think about guys that play at the wing and center position. It's going to be hard for him to get in there, but to me, he's every bit as good as Jared Allen and Bam Adebayo. Not the talent they are offensively, but defensively, he's on par with anyone in this league. And it's not even close, in my opinion. So, but yeah, I'm with you, man. Like I said, I'm glad that, Brad, then, he didn't take heed to what, fans and media were saying, and had the pitchforks, ready, to go. And really for my final word, and that wasn't really a final word, just I can't believe this is happening. I feel really bad for Kemba Walker. Has a great career in Charlotte. Has an all-star year with us his first year in Boston. Plays entirely way too long in Chicago for the All-Star game in 2020. Essentially ends his career there. We go through the pandemic, or the worst part of the pandemic at that time, back after 4 months. Has really one of the best plays I've seen in Celtics playoff history with that bounce pass to Tice that should have put us up 3-0 against Toronto. Obviously, you know how that went.
Thanks, Joe.
Yeah, right. He got his soul snatched in that Miami series, and just wasn't the same after that. And as Celtics fans, we try to tell Knicks fans that, hey, he wasn't going to be that guy. Now, it's wild to me that they're going to say him for the rest of the season after that he should be bought out. It's ironically, I think he'd be perfect off the bench for us. I do. I think he'd be perfect
Some
off the bench.
offense off the bench?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
10 to 12 points off the bench, easily. And because to me, I want Derrick White eventually starting. I want Al to come off the bench. So I want it to be Derrick White, Marcus Smart, Tatum Brown, and then Rob.
So you put Tatum at the 4? You put Tatum at the 4?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Okay.
And like I said, it doesn't have to be all the time. Obviously, it gets a series against Philly. Clearly, you're going to put Embiid and Rob in there. But anybody else, you can start those 5. And who's scoring on that 5 consistently?
Yep.
You know what I'm saying?
You're right.
You got two playmakers, at the top. Really, you got 5 playmakers on the floor at one time.
Yep. No, not many 4s are athletic enough to stay with Jason either. So
right, exactly. So to me, I just think that would be and I know that's been their closing lineup. I think that's what they've done. Since they traded for Derrick White. So yeah, I'm excited to see what they do. Like I said, we got 22 games left. I'm actually going to put a number to it. That's my final word. I'm going to say, because they already won tonight, so now it's down to 19, to 21. But I'm going to say they go 15-7 in these last 22 games. I think that's a reasonable. Yeah, down stretch 15, and then so that means they go 49-33 to end the regular season. And listen, if that's the case and they're a top 5 seed, there's no way you could have told any of us they were going to be a top 5 seed the way the season started. And also, too, I think the season will mirror the Red Sox season. Remember, we gave up on them too. We gave up on the Red Sox. Me and Mike. I remember me and Mike did the show. We put it. It's in the show. We put it in the show notes. Mike pronounced them dead. Said that they were soft. They just like with the Celtics team too. Soft. Can't do much. Won't do this. And all of a sudden, the boys caught fire and gave us a hell of a ride. And then that's what I think that's what's going to happen now too. We're going to get a hell of a ride this postseason. Don't know where it's going to take us, but it's going to be a hell of a ride.
Oh, man. It's funny. Coming off NFL season, you almost, I don't want to say you forget how much you love this, but I honestly forget how much I love the Celtics during football season. You know what I mean?
Yep.
I didn't get as disappointed. I didn't get as sad at the beginning of the season as I had in the past, just because, I had football season distract me. It was a great season. Cowboys were doing awesome. But now it's Celtics season, man. And hearing you just say that, just hearing that, I think we're going for a ride this postseason.
Yeah,
bro. I'm ready for it. I'm ready.
And I'm gonna be there. So like I said, I'm hoping because like I said, if I'm there for the games, man, it's gonna be crazy.
My Celtics socks and Celtics jersey are ready to be put on for playoff games. Okay, so let's go.
Let's go. And just to throw in a little clip about baseball. Listen, baseball MLB owners, players, get this shit together. Get it right.
Yeah, get it together, guys. Come on.
Get it together. I need to go to a few games. We got content we got to talk about. So let's get into that.
I'm sick of being depressed reading my statuses of pitchers and catchers report in 3 days. Not this year. They're not. Not this year.
We already passed truck day. So like I said, we need to see opening day for sure. So we'll leave it at that. So for the real BK Bob Kelly, I am Rashawn Buchanan. And this has been another episode of Missing the Point, and we'll see you next time. Peace.
Peace out.
Welcome, explorers of the human experience. This is Let's Talk Soul, and I'm your host, Claudia Monticelli. We're not afraid of the great mysteries of existence here. Soul versus consciousness, we're on it. Spirituality versus science, we've got that covered too. Join us in navigating these profound topics with wisdom, curiosity, and a dash of audacity. Whether you're a spiritual veteran or just starting your journey, Let's Talk Soul is your passport to the unknown. Let's Talk Soul, diving into the depths of the human spirit. Subscribe now wherever you get your podcasts.
Hey, it's Tim from 50 Years of Music with 50-Year-Old White Guys, the comedy podcast you had no idea you needed. Join Ben, Jeff, and me as we continue our musical road trip back through the years and around the globe. See, just when you thought all white guys were like Joe Rogan, you come across three educators trying to remember when we were cool.
50 Years of Music with 50-Year-Old White Guys.
Electricast. Electricast.